So I think I just found a subnet that might actually compete with ChatGPT one day. You want to find out a little bit more about it? My name is Jeremy, aka School of Crypto, and I'm bringing you another Bittensor video. So I just did a little bit of research on a subnet named Templar, and I actually saw a video on the Mark Jeffrey hash rate episode, and he was talking to the CEO of Templar, a pre-training subnet, about his experience of actually training a model in a decentralized fashion. So what Sam and the Templar team did was actually they made history. So they trained a model on the internet, and the largest model in the history of mankind. So usually the pre-training process, it's very expensive. It's a very lengthy process. You need data centers, you need cooling machines, you need GPUs. It costs anywhere between $500,000 to $5 million. So the Templar team was able to do it via their subnet on the Bittensor network, via their miners. So they were able to train a model that competed with Meta's Llama model, which is like it's a very huge accomplishment. So basically, what does this all mean? So, this is something that was kind of unheard of in terms of being able to decentralize the training process. And then Templar has been able to do it literally in less than a year's time. So they wanted to go a little bit further. So Sam actually created a little bit of a contingent and brought along a couple more subnets to create this holy trinity of AI training, I call it, called Covenant AI. So the other two subnets that make up Covenant AI is called Grail. So Grail is the post-training subnet. So post-training is basically kind of curating a model towards like a specialized, type of service or specialized type of intelligence. So if there's something in the medical field, they'll tailor the model towards more of like a medical field capabilities that will kind of help solve certain problems and, go over certain scenarios. And then the third subnet in this holy trinity is called Basilica. So Basilica is like a compute GPU inference type of subnet. So basically what Sam can do is basically have a GPU environment in which they can train these models on and kind of be able to, tinker with it, be able to train and be able to ultimately fine-tune these models in an environment with a bunch of compute and inference. So, ultimately, this threesome of subnets has a chance to really make waves in a lot of different areas. So one of those waves is actually creating an AI training as a service type of product. So what that means is they can have clients, which Sam's actually meeting with governments, economic institutions, also different universities that basically can go up to these guys and say, hey, I want a model that can do X, Y, and Z, but I don't want to spend $500,000 to $5 million, doing it on my own. So then Sam, Templar, Basilica, Grail can say, well, you know what? Like, I can pre-train this model for you. I can show you everything that's going into it. I can post-train this model for you, and I can provide the inference as well. So, this is kind of like a first, service of its kind. There aren't any other, companies or projects that's providing this type of service. So that's what Sam was talking to Mark Jeffrey about in that episode was, how do you value this? How do you market this? Like, how do you go about sharing this information and, putting a price tag on it, So that's something that's kind of like in the works right now. So honestly, in terms of the long-term perspective of what this holy trinity of AI training is all about, has a chance to come out with a state-of-the-art foundational model that could compete with ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Claude. Sam was saying that he felt like he was 60% there in terms of being able to compete with those top dogs that I mentioned. But it takes a long time to kind of get from 90 to 100. And again, these companies are spending hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, like I said, with, going towards all these data centers, going towards, honestly, employees. These guys are getting $10, $100 million deals that have these big track records, right? While Sam, Templar, Basilica, and Grail, they have like a few hundred miners that are kind of going at it, using their compute, using their inference, using their machines, using their know-how in order to get the job done in the background. So in terms of challenges, like in terms of the manpower, they're lacking right now, in terms of the resources. But as the project scales, as Bittensor scales, as more miners come to the network, this could ultimately be, there could be a lot more resources in play in terms of scaling up the development. So yeah, like this is actually such an interesting type of project because they literally provide like a one-stop shop for everything that you need to train a foundational AI model. That again could compete with the Claudes of the world, the ChatGPTs of the world, and Grok, right? So this is really exciting to me, because I think that everybody, basically thinks that, it's kind of like a 2 or 3 or 4 man game, in terms of Google and, OpenAI and Anthropic. But, you have this, holy trinity on Bittensor that literally provides everything that you need in order to develop these kinds of models. And they did it in a short period of time. So this is something that's super exciting. And it's something that ultimately, everybody needs to pay attention to. Because it's kind of the ethos of Bittensor. You have these miners from all walks of life that's providing these really exceptional services and ultimately exceeding these benchmarks and developing innovation at a very fast pace. So, with Sam Dare saying that he's 60% there and it's only been, a little bit less than a year, that's pretty impressive, and then doing it for a lot less cost, a lot less resources, and doing it, again, decentralized via the internet. So that's something that I kind of wanted to bring up. So just like Covenant AI, Templar, Basilica, Grail, these 3 subnets kind of coming into this one subnet contingent is really coming out with some remarkable results that everyone really needs to pay attention to. So like, don't be surprised come 2026, you wake up from bed one day and ultimately Covenant AI has a model that's competing with ChatGPT, because that day might come based on all the resources that they've come up with, and the more miners that come onto the network, the more Bittensor becomes popularized, the more scalable it gets, and they could eventually get there. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Covenant AI can actually compete with ChatGPT one day, or do you think that it's kind of too David versus Goliath, and they just don't have the wherewithal in order to get there? Definitely let me know down below. Definitely pound the like, subscribe, and look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.